Hi do fellas, Nige back here again, and today we're going to do another inbox review, and today we're going to have a look at this monster of a kit. So we've got the Grumman F-14D Tomcat by Tamiya. Now, to be fair, I've wanted this core kit since it came out, and to be fair, I couldn't really afford it. It was, you know, really quite expensive when it first came out, and it still is quite expensive. But my situation has changed, so I'm not saying we have loads of free cash, but we had a little bit more to spend at Christmas this year. So this is one of the kits that was got for me. Okay, the box art is absolutely lovely. Really nice box art. I don't know which one that one is. It'll tell me on the side. So that's the Black Lions, the Cadbird, from March 2006. We also have the Grim Reapers from 2004 and the Bounty Hunters from May 2003. So some really nice schemes on there, especially like, you know, the Grim Reaper. Well, I suppose that everybody would probably do that bird. Okay, so without further ado, try and put this out of the way, and I will look at opening up the bags but not taking them out so I can know where everything is, and we will crack on. So that's all the bags off, and well, not bags off, but the staples taken out of the bag. So we'll just start straight away with the instructions. Obviously you get basically some diagrams that tell you how to actually build it and what actual bits and pieces to use. Then we have it says some background information. This one's all in Japanese and English, so we've got a bit about the different so it says the birth of the legend, and it goes through all the services, and on there we've got some of the F-14D features and the ordnance that goes on there. So that's a nice little touch. We then move on to a full colour call out, which I think will look fantastic just up on your wall. So Bounty Hunters, Red Rippers. So there's actually 4 aircraft. Black Lions and the Grim Reapers. So some really nice aircraft there. All that. Before we then get into the main booklet, another staple there. Oh, we also get some screws and washers and some pallet caps. Alright, so we'll get straight into it. Start off with the actual cockpit tub. Okay, so you've got your cockpit tub there with all your side panels all go on separate, and your colour call outs in Tamiya. Okay, so we've got the tub. Then we move on to the forward station and the aft station instrument panels, putting on some more little control panels and putting the actual joystick in there before we then put onto the side walls of the actual tub. We then rotate it 180. Oh no, we don't. Oh, it's not like that. Okay, we actually build up the nose landing gear bay, and then you attach that to the bottom of your cockpit tub before then looking at sandwiching it all together. And you have to, at this point, choose whether you want to have the nozzle retracted or extended for the fueling. We then move on to the cockpit again, pouring some bits on for the cockpit, painting them different colours onto the nose, how to attach the wing mechanism so you can have it swept or extended. So pouring the actual wings in, pouring the bracing bar across there. And then we start looking at the belly of the fuselage. So you've got some bracing parts in here that you have to remove, some holes to open out, and then you start building up the intakes, okay, and the intake tunnels and stuff like that. We'll move on to the main landing gears, and then joining the upper fuselage together, okay, before that gets sandwiched to the bottom. We've got the intake ducts with the fans going in there, and then you have got painting the air intakes, okay. You actually get these in a masking sticker, okay, so it's a masking sticker, but it's not pre-cut, so you will have to cut it yourself, which those bits is not so much of an issue. Before then, we start building up the intakes a bit more, so we put the intake tunnels that go into the actual intakes themselves, which then slot into some parts on the bottom. You can see these location parts before the cover comes down to join it up, and we get some ventral fins before the nose and get slotted in there. We then move on to the belly. Again, we're just putting this panel in, again remembering to make some holes before we move on to the nozzles of the engines. And you can see here on this part, you've actually got some decals that are going to cover this, like, is it carbon fiber sort of area, and then the actual nozzle fans or afterburners, whatever you want to call them. Then you attach the nozzles on, and you've got your parachute deployment part that fits on the back. Before we then move on to joining the wings together, so the two wing halves together, before slotting them onto the aircraft itself. We then move on to the nose landing gear, some more pods and parts that we need to put on with the nose going in. The nose doors, as you can see, the two parts for either side, so that will help add some realism there and hopefully hide any injection pin marks before we move on to the main landing gear base, gear wheels, which then get attached to the aircraft. We have the main doors and the arrestor hook for moving on to the tailplanes, and then we start looking at the bomb mounts and all the associated sort of ordnance on there. So that's the AIM 54C Phoenix pallet, and then we've got the pylons for the wings. So attaching the pylons to the actual aircraft itself, and you can see there's loads of different variations of whichever way you want to load it out. We've got some fuel tanks that go on there, go on the aircraft, before we then move on to the sidewinders, Sparrows, Phoenix, the Paveway 2s, the GB31, the Lansing Target pod, the Tarps pod, and then attaching all those to the actual aircraft before we move on to the tail fins. And then we go back to the cockpit and we start looking at the seat, the BAM seats for the pilot and his rear. And then we have two pilots that can go in there. Just looking at this, I don't know whether that's, looks like it's going to be decals for the actual seat belts, and then putting the nose combing on with the weapons sight, the rear one as well for joining those, and all the little bits of dangly bits and step ladders if you want to use those, and pit tubes and all that sort of good stuff. Before we move on to the cockpit canopy, and also in the cockpit canopy you're going to have again the masking that you need to cut out. That looks like some more decals go on there. Some fins and bits and pieces you have to cut off. Attaching the canopy in the open position. Pointing the airbags on there. And the wing fillets. So you've got two different types of swept back and swept forward. And that is basically that. And let's have a look. Oh, there it is. There's the main colour call out with all the different colours you'll be using. So let's get into the actual plastic itself. Like I said, I've removed all the staples. Okay, so we'll start off with Sprue H. Okay, and this is all cockpit parts. So we've got the main cockpit up, and as you can see, there's no detail in there whatsoever really. But if we turn this over, you then can see all the detail on these panels that slot in. Okay, so all these parts here would slot in there and there. So we'll just go through them. Okay, so some really nice detail on the panels themselves. Then we've got the sidewalls, control sticks, those front little panels, some sort of, I don't know what that part is. Okay, but I'm sure it'll come apart when I start building it. Okay, we have the back. I'm assuming that part's back of the actual one of the seats, and we've got some really nice fine. Don't know if the light will be able to catch it. I don't know, but some really lightly raised rivet detail on there that which looks absolutely beautiful. So that's Sprue H. We then move on to Sprues. Let's have a look. So I'm pretty sure these two, yeah, we've got two of these, so we'll just have a look at one. So this is Sprue Q, and as you can see, we have nozzles, some of the ordnance, and some of the weapons pylons. Okay, so again, we'll just start going over some nice detail on the wheels there and the pylons. Moving down to one of the actual ordnance parts, and again you can see there's some really nice detail on there. Moving over, I don't know if it's a bomb or whatever, but again some nice detail on there. These are, I believe these are paveways. I don't know much about modern armory. And then we move on to the nozzles, which again has got some nice detail on there, and some of the fans, and the one that blows all the hot hair out. We'll move on to two more sprues. So we have Sprue S. Oh, it's two of the same again. Okay, so a great big fuel tank, some more wheels on there, nose wheel, main wheels, the seats, and the seats look really nice actually. Some really nice detail on there. Pilot figure, head, and the actual cushions for the seat. And then we move on to the tail fins. And again, obviously there's not going to be a lot of rivet detail on these modern aircraft, but there is some there, and it's really nicely done. The panel lines look really fine. The plastic is smooth as silk. Just some of the details on that pylon. we've got the main belly fuselage. Okay, so again, you can see all these bracing parts that you need to cut out. If we just walk from front to back, you can see some of that detail as I'm trying to catch it in the light. Nice detail in the wheel wells and some lovely rivets and panel lines all over this. So really nicely done. This part is to do with some of the landing gear. So we've got the nose bay, and again you can see all the piping, the strengthening plates. We've got the side, which I believe is this side, so that's the side of the nose, and then we've got some bits for the front and rear of it, some of the bits for the main wheel bells. Moving on to the parts for the undercarriage. So just looking at it, and again it's all really nicely done. I mean, just look at that part there and that ribbon they've put on there, and some of these little actuators. Okay, so some really nicely molded plastic here, and the parts are attached with sprue gates that aren't massive, so you're not really going to damage the part as you take them off. Okay, you still have to be careful because some of these parts are still going to be fairly, but the chunky, which the F-14's undercarriage was. Some of the sparrows and sidewinders. Okay, I'm not sure, mind you, that might not be too bad. I'm not sure about the way these go together. Okay, so those bits there would slot into those bits there. Okay, again we've got some more of these rockets, which looks like these parts here go over the top of those parts. Why they've done that, I don't know, unless you've got the two different parts that go on there. Okay, I'm not 100% certain. Again, I'm not a modern jet aficionado. Again, they look really nice. Quick swipe with the sanding stick and you should get rid of any of the mold lines that go run along it. Next up we have some more cockpit parts. So we've got the instrument panel at the front here, some more of the side walls, the pilot's coning, okay, some arms, the rear coning and rear instrument panel with again some more of the side panels. Parts of the nozzles, and that's the bit that sits over the undercarriage, when you join the intakes together. A great big pod, and you can actually, that's really nice, you can actually see, I hope you can see it, but there's actually a hinge all the way down there. I mean, I might be able to hear it. Yeah, that has a drag my finger over it. That's really nice, and again some really nice refined detail on there. So that's the part for the parachute to come out of, and then we've got these two-part doors for the nose bay, and again it's looking really beautiful. So a bigger sprue now, and we are looking at the upper body and the nose. So you can see just by the sheer scale of this, I mean, I've got an A3 mat in front of me, and it's taking up that whole thing. So we have front and rear top fuselage, nose, we have the winglets that go on there, and then we have the bags at the rear. So we'll fetch you up and we'll have a look. And again, you can see some really nice rivet detail around all the panels. Okay, and then we move on to the upper part. Again, all around the panels, there's all rivets. Lovely, refined. That's really fine panel lines. The other side of the nose, the tail end of the upper fuselage. So your cans will go on there. And hopefully you can see some of that really, really nice detail on there. We've got a board and ladder and even some nice rivet detail on the two types of airbag for wings extended and wings folded. There we've got the tail fins, the intakes. We have some more of the mounting parts for some of the weapons. That panel that sits underneath the nose. Is it the nose? I believe it's the nose. Yeah, the bit that sits underneath the nose, and then we've got also the air intakes. So again, we'll just start down here, and you can hopefully you can see some of that really nice detail that's on there. Moving on to the tail fins. Both from there, and then you've got those mounting brackets onto the air intakes. Let's have a look down the air intakes. There's no, oh, maybe just you can just see. There you can see them. Okay, so we might have to get rid of them, but we'll have a look at that when we come to build it. There's none in the actual intake tunnel, which is good. It'll just be joining them together and make sure it's seamless, and it should be big enough and wide enough, and the way it's done, that shouldn't be a problem, to be fair. Some of the pylons, I think, I don't know what, they're the intake ram scoops, so they'll move up and down to let either a lot of air in or not so much. And then the last grey sprue. Okay, we've got the two wings sections, so upper and lower. I don't know without looking. I believe those are probably the lower, and those are the upper, with the actual wing joining part and these fillets, these fins that go on the rear of the engines. So again, some really nice work done on that. Some really refined detail. Next up we have so we've got the cockpit canopy. I really like the way some of these manufacturers now are doing. Not only see this nose section, how it's part of the actual fuselage, so you get a nice fit, and you can sand that bit down if you don't get a nice fit and not worry about damaging the glass, which on this is absolutely crystal clear. But they've fogged it up, so where you want to paint it, it's rough, so the paint will take. Where you don't want the paint on the actual glass, it's smooth as ice, or glass should I say. We've got the main canopy. The only downside is the one, oh wait a minute, no, alright, there may be just a touch, I don't want to break it off. Yeah, there's a touch of a seam line. See that bit there? I don't know if you can see it. that bit that goes from there to there is meant to be there, but there's just a little seam line that goes from there to there. But again, some lovely detail, some lovely root detail on these parts. That leaves us with the decals. So let's have a look. So you get, also that's your all your stencils, yeah, and then we've got the actual seat harnesses, bits for above the air intake, and then we've got these bits here for the tail pipes. Okay, so that's for some of those, for the weapons as well. Okay, I'll just move this out of the way for a minute, and then you can see. Okay, so this is Tamiya masking paper. Okay, and I'm not going to take it out, but you can see where you can cut out along the lines and the arrows pointing where it is. So it's a case of figuring out which bits go where. Are they those? They might be it. I'm trying to move this. I don't want to open it. So right, okay. So what I'm trying to look at to see which bit is for the intakes. I can't really see what's what. But that's the masking tape. And then we go on to the main decals. So I mean, don't get me wrong, they are really beautifully printed decals, but they are like most Tamiya decals. They are really, really thick. I mean, you can actually see. Can you see how on the tail that is? It's, you can actually see the raised line on the Grim Reaper and what have you. So I might be tempted to have a look at an aftermarket set for these, just because they are quite thick and they might be unforgiving. But other than that, they are beautifully printed. They are really, really nice. So there we go, Tamiya's F-14 Tomcat. What can I say? It's a beautiful kit, and I've heard tell that it goes together even better than it looks. Okay, it goes together like an absolute dream. So I'm really looking forward to building it. I don't know when I will get around to it, but I'm looking forward to giving this a go and seeing what I can do with it, really. Okay, well, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.